tremendous honor to be in Italy and Rome. When Swedes want to move from Sweden, they always choose Italy as #1, you know. So it's really fantastic to be here, and I would like to extend my sincere acknowledgements to the organizers to bringing me here. And let's see now. I work at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, and it is famous, of course, for its Nobel Prize in Medicine or Physiology. I also uphold the position at the Royal Institute of Technology, and the reason for that is that I have a PhD student who is just now finalizing a doctoral dissertation regarding building planning for persons with the functional impairment electron hypersensitivity. And I would like to start my presentation to talk about people with electron hypersensitivity. I have met a few of them here in Rome during these 2 days, and it has been a great, great honor, as well as meeting people with multiple chemical sensitivity and other such problems. In Sweden, electron hypersensitivity is an officially fully recognized functional impairment. It is not regarded as a disease, and this recognition is by the Swedish government since the year 2000. In Sweden, approximately 250,000 Swedes are electron hypersensitive out of a population of 9 million. They have their own handicap organization, the Swedish Association for the Electron Hypersensitive, and this is also included in the Swedish Disability Federation. Swedish municipalities, they just follow the United Nations 22 standard rules, which since 2007 has been upgraded into the UN Convention on Human Rights for Persons with Functional Impairments. People with functional impairments, such as electron hypersensitivity, are entitled to have an equal life in a society based on equality. Just that. Just remember that. That's the essence of the whole United Nations Convention. One of the most important principles to achieve this equal life in a society based on equality is the one about complete accessibility. In Sweden, impairments are viewed from the point of the environment. No human being is in itself impaired. There are instead shortcomings in the environment that cause the impairment. Thus, it is the environment that should be treated, not the persons. And this is very interesting because, you know, every person, every man, every woman, child or old, will during his or her life become impaired, quite often actually. When I, for instance, go to Italy, I immediately become impaired because I do not speak Italian. So I need assistance. I need someone to help me. And that's the same for people with multiple chemical sensitivities, with electron hypersensitivity or whatever. And this can also be found in the Swedish Action Plan for Persons with Impairments. And on the last line it says that people should no longer be regarded as patients, they should be regarded as citizens. Persons with electron hypersensitivity should always be met in a respectful way and with all necessary support, with a single goal to eliminate the impairment. For instance, to force a person to quit one's employment or to move from one's home is a serious legal violation of the United Nations Convention. So you can never ever try to do that. This is not something we should do because we are so very nice or as some form of a favor, or this is not something that any parliament or government should politely request other inhabitants to provide us with. Equality is not something to be done out of the goodness of one's heart. It is something one does because it is expected of every citizen, because inaccessibility and discrimination are prohibited by law. So, in essence, persons with a functional impairment electron hypersensitivity shall just enjoy their human rights, nothing less. And it makes everything so simple. Trust me, In Sweden, this has changed a lot of the opposition against people with functional impairments. It's so much easier to think along these lines because every country, Sweden, Italy, and so forth, we have signed these United Nations documents. So it's time that you also follow them. Or do you not agree? I mean, we live in a democracy. You don't have to agree. But just think for a moment, if your loved ones were electron hypersensitive or had multiple chemical sensitivity, what would you then want? In Sweden, wireless telecommunication devices has been a very sweet piece of candy. Swedish economy is to a very large extent based on the revenues from companies such as Sony Ericsson and likewise. And every Swede has gained a lot of prosperity from it. But very early, people realized that these wireless gadgets, they give off something. And in the previous very excellent presentation, you learned that we talk about microwaves at different frequencies. But do also remember that wireless devices, wireless gadgets, they do also send out extremely low frequency fields and at an extremely high level. So therefore, very early, this is a tabloid, the largest tabloid in Sweden, it's from 1995, so it's a long, long time ago. People like myself started to ask questions, and here in Swedish it says, how dangerous are these wireless telephones, mobile phones, DECT phones, and so on? And we put a number of questions. Unfortunately, many of them are still unanswered. And we did it because we had realized that the current guidelines at the time, and still the same, are of course not to any use, because scientists, they're moving stepwise below, finding effects as far down as 100,000 times below the current Swedish, Italian, and so forth public exposure guidelines. And therefore, it's important to really start to think about producing new guidelines based upon biology, and I will come back to that. I coined an expression that this is the largest full-scale experiment ever. What happens when we, 24 hours around the clock, wherever we are, allow ourselves and our children to be used as guinea pigs, whole body irradiated for the rest of our lives? I said that a long, long time ago. I have repeated that many times. I'm tired. How many times must I repeat this until the responsible authorities, governments, and parliaments worldwide start to react and start to do something? And I guess I will have to come back and repeat it next year and the year after.